Hey there, deep divers. Today, we're going to be diving into the world of Bitcoin price predictions.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, we've got a deep dive YouTube video by Andre Jeek and a news article from You Today.
Okay, nice.
And we're going to explore how one analyst thinks Bitcoin's price follows like a universal pattern,
Hmm.
and another analyst who just makes his predictions based on good old-fashioned market dynamics.
I always like to see how different people approach the same question,
Yeah,
especially with something as volatile as Bitcoin.
right. And Jeek's video starts with this concept of power laws,
Okay.
which basically reveal hidden patterns in like seemingly random stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know how planets orbit the sun at different speeds depending on how far away they are?
Uh-huh.
That's a power law.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And what's so intriguing is that these power laws apply to so many different things, from
Fun.
the size of animals to the frequency of words in a language.
It's like a hidden code of the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jeek makes this really compelling case that Bitcoin might be following one of these codes too.
Interesting.
So he brings in this astrophysicist, Giovanni Santasi,
Okay.
who applied power law analysis to Bitcoin's price history over the past 15 years.
Gotcha.
And Santasi found that Bitcoin's price, despite all the ups and downs, it kind of tends to stay within this predictable range,
Hmm.
like a channel.
Created a special chart, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
To illustrate this, like how the price bounces between these support and resistance levels.
Exactly.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, and according to his calculations, this model's been incredibly accurate.
I think he said something like 95.3% accurate, which is
Yeah.
wild. No other asset even comes close to that level of predictability.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And based on this model,
Mm.
Santasi makes a really bold prediction.
Okay.
Bitcoin could peak at least at $150,000 by the middle of 2025.
Wow. That's
I know.
a hefty sum.
Yeah, and then he gets even bolder.
How does he?
By 2033, he sees Bitcoin reaching $1 million.
Okay, so you're telling me I should hold on to my Bitcoin.
I mean, I'm not giving financial advice, but,
Of course, of course.
it's interesting to consider.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't you just draw lines on any chart and find patterns?
That's exactly what I was thinking. But Jeek addresses that in the video.
Okay.
He shows charts for gold and the S&P 500,
Yeah.
and they just don't fit these power law patterns as neatly as Bitcoin does.
Hmm.
So it makes you wonder if there's something fundamentally different about Bitcoin.
Right.
Like it's somehow tapping into this deeper universal law
Yeah.
that governs growth and value.
Interesting.
But, while Santasi sees Bitcoin following these age-old patterns,
Uh-huh.
our second source, the Fundstrat analyst, Tom Lee,
Okay.
takes more of a traditional market-driven approach.
Gotcha.
And he also predicts Bitcoin could reach some pretty impressive heights,
What's he thinking?
$250,000 by 2025.
Okay, so similar to Santosi,
Yeah.
but different reasoning, I imagine.
Very different reasoning. So his is, he points to the possibility of the U.S. adopting Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset.
What does that mean?
I was wondering the same thing.
Okay.
Essentially, it's like how countries hold gold
Uh-huh.
as part of their national reserves.
Yeah.
And if the U.S. were to do the same thing with Bitcoin,
Okay.
it would give it massive legitimacy on the world stage.
Right.
And that could potentially send the demand for Bitcoin through the roof.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And Lee also highlights the success of MicroStrategy,
Okay.
this company that's buying up a ton of Bitcoin,
Yeah, I heard of them.
showing these big companies they should be taking it seriously.
Uh-huh.
Their success, he argues, shows how holding Bitcoin can generate significant value.
Okay, so we've got Santonasi looking at universal patterns,
Yeah.
Lee focusing on market dynamics.
Right.
Two very different approaches.
Two very different approaches.
But both suggesting that Bitcoin could be headed for a major price surge.
A major price surge.
Hmm.
But let's shift gears for a moment and step back from price predictions. Our third source,
Yeah.
an interview with Raoul Pal
Okay.
on the Diary of a CEO,
Right.
takes this much broader look at trends, wealth, and what he calls unfucking your future.
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting.
I know.
So Pal starts by painting a pretty sobering picture of the challenges millennials face.
Yeah.
Stagnant wages, skyrocketing housing costs.
It's rough out there.
Right, and the overall difficulty of building wealth through these traditional means.
Yeah, it's not a sunny outlook.
Right. But Powell doesn't just leave us hanging with all this doom and gloom.
Okay, good.
He argues that the key to breaking free from this cycle is to stop playing by the old rules
Okay.
and start recognizing these new opportunities that are emerging.
Okay.
He believes we need to identify and invest in trends that offer much higher returns.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of trends is he talking about?
Well, he even challenges the traditional idea of buying a house as the primary wealth-building strategy.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on.
Yeah.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It is. But his point is that the world is changing, and we need to adapt our thinking along with it.
Okay.
He encourages us to seek out what he calls games few can play.
I love that.
Areas where you can leverage your unique skills and knowledge to potentially achieve those outsized returns.
I love that idea, games few can play.
He gives a great example from his own career.
Okay.
He used to specialize in social media for fashion brands,
Uh-huh.
which provided decent returns, but then he shifted his focus to advising pre-IPO companies,
Okay.
where his skills were in much higher demand and the potential for growth was exponentially greater. It's about finding your niche and capitalizing on the emerging trends where you have an edge.
So finding the right game and becoming an indispensable player.
Exactly.
But how do you identify those emerging trends, those games few can play?
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Powell throws out some interesting ideas based on current trends,
Okay.
like the declining obesity rate in the U.S.,
Okay.
the rise of digital communities, and this growing yearning for nature and authentic experiences.
That's interesting.
He suggests these are all fertile ground for innovation and investment, if you know where to look.
That's fascinating. It really expands the possibilities beyond just the usual tech-focused trends.
Yeah.
But going back to Powell's point about challenging traditional thinking,
Uh-huh.
he also has some intriguing things to say about the digital world
Okay.
and the concept of attention as an investment.
Attention as an investment.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It might seem counterintuitive,
Okay.
but he argues that in this new world where everything is becoming digital,
Yeah.
it's not just about investing in companies or assets.
Uh-huh.
It's about investing in attention itself.
Okay.
He even uses meme coins as an example.
Meme coins. Seriously.
They might seem that way.
Okay.
But think about it. Platforms like Facebook, Google, Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
all built on capturing and monetizing attention.
Right.
And now with meme coins, you're essentially betting on what's going to grab people's attention.
Yeah.
What's going to go viral.
I see what you mean.
So it's about understanding the dynamics of this digital landscape
Uh-huh.
and figuring out how to ride the wave of attention.
Right. But is there a way to do that without getting caught up in the hype and losing your shirt?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Powell emphasizes the importance of being able to discern between genuine innovation and hype.
Okay.
You need to do your research, develop your critical thinking skills,
Yeah.
and be willing to take calculated risks.
Calculated risks.
But he also points out that this trend towards digital communities goes beyond just meme coins.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about that.
He sees it as this much broader societal shift.
Okay.
People are increasingly seeking out these online spaces
Mm-hmm.
where they can connect with others who share their interests and values.
Yeah.
He even draws a parallel to the crypto community itself,
Oh, interesting.
saying that people are drawn to crypto because it feels disruptive,
Hmm.
like it's challenging the status quo.
That definitely resonates with me.
Yeah, there's a real sense of community and shared purpose in the crypto world.
Exactly.
And that sense of belonging,
Yeah.
of being part of something bigger than yourself, creates this powerful network effect.
Makes sense.
It's no wonder we're seeing so much innovation and investment in the crypto space.
Yeah, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way.
Right.
The more people believe in it, the more value it seems to accrue.
Exactly.
But I also remember Powell mentioning something about this yearning for authentic experiences alongside the digital explosion.
Yeah.
Almost like a counter trend.
He talks about how even as we spend more and more time online,
Yeah.
there's this growing desire for genuine human connection,
Uh-huh.
for experiences that feel real and tangible in this increasingly virtual world.
Right. So like the more we immerse ourselves in the digital,
Right.
the more we crave the analog.
It's like a pendulum swing.
Makes sense.
And he sees this as an investment opportunity too.
He does, right?
He talks about how things like ecotourism, guiding companies,
Yeah.
anything that allows people to disconnect from the digital world and reconnect with nature
Okay.
could be a smart bet.
I like it.
So much to consider.
Yeah. It seems like there are opportunities everywhere if you know how to spot the trends
If you know how to spot the trends.
and position yourself correctly.
Right. But during the interview, Powell and Stephen Bartlett had this really interesting conversation about how to recognize these emerging trends.
Yeah, what was their take?
So their observation was that the most impactful trends
Mm-hmm.
often feel disruptive, contrarian, even a bit crazy at first.
Right, and that makes sense when you think about it.
Sure.
Like, people might even tell you you're an idiot for believing in them.
Yeah.
But that discomfort, that pushback against the status quo,
Yeah.
is often a sign that you're onto something truly innovative.
Think about the early days of the internet,
Uh-huh.
social media, even Bitcoin itself.
Yeah.
People scoffed, doubted, dismissed them as fads.
You look at us now.
It seems like the best opportunities are often the ones that challenge our assumptions.
Yeah,
And make us question what we thought we knew.
exactly. But there's a fine line between genuine innovation and hype.
Yeah.
So it's crucial to develop that ability to discern between the two.
Right.
You need to do your homework, think critically,
Yeah.
and be comfortable with taking those calculated risks.
Okay, so to unfuck your future,
Yeah.
you need to be adaptable, informed, and a bit of a risk taker.
A little bit of a risk
That's
take.
definitely a theme that runs through Powell's message.
It definitely is. He emphasizes the importance of developing skills that are difficult to automate.
Right.
Things like creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence,
Right.
complex problem solving.
Yeah, the things that make us uniquely human.
Exactly.
Those are all skills that
Yeah.
will be valuable no matter how much the world changes.
Right. He also talks about the importance of building strong networks and communities, both online and offline.
Yeah.
Those connections, those relationships, will be essential for navigating the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
And of course, he advocates for investing in trends that are aligned with these larger societal shifts.
Yeah.
Ones that we've been discussing.
Right.
Like the rise of digital communities,
Right.
the yearning for authentic experiences,
Uh-huh.
and the increasing focus on health and well-being.
Right.
It's a lot to absorb, but it's also incredibly empowering.
It is.
It reminds us that we're not just passive bystanders in this technological revolution.
Right.
We have choices. We have agency. We have the power to shape our own destinies.
And sometimes the best way to do that is to embrace the unknown,
Yeah.
to dive headfirst into the deep end and see where the current takes us.
Speaking of uncharted waters,
Yeah.
remember that other source we discussed, the one about AI?
Oh, yeah. That was a real eye-opener.
It was.
Yeah.
And it connects directly to what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Adapting to a rapidly changing world. Powell definitely doesn't sugarcoat things when it comes to AI.
No, he doesn't.
He paints this very realistic and some might say unsettling picture
Yeah.
of how AI is poised to disrupt pretty much every industry imaginable.
Right, like a wake-up call.
It is a wake-up call.
Yeah.
I remember that part in the interview where he walks Stephen Bartlett through this exercise
Okay.
of imagining a typical day in London
Yeah.
and identifying all the jobs that could be automated,
Uh-huh.
and the list was extensive.
Yeah, from driving to data entry to even those creative tasks like writing and design,
Yeah.
AI is making its presence felt in every corner of the economy.
And Powell's point is that this isn't some distant science fiction scenario.
No.
This is happening right now.
It's happening right now.
He even points out that Amazon already employs more robots than humans,
Whoa.
and those robots are only getting cheaper and more efficient over time.
It's hard to compete with that level of productivity,
Right.
which begs the question, what does this mean for us? For the average person who isn't necessarily a tech whiz?
Right. Where do we fit into this rapidly evolving future? I'm curious to hear what Powell has to say about that.
Well, his answer might surprise you.
Okay.
He doesn't advocate for resisting this change.
Okay.
He actually encourages us to embrace it.
Okay.
He sees AI as a tool,
Uh-huh.
and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Right.
It all depends on who's wielding it.
I like that perspective.
Yeah.
It's not about fearing the technology itself,
Right.
but rather understanding its potential and its limitations so we can use it to our advantage.
Exactly. And he encourages us to become knowledgeable about AI.
Okay.
Not just to avoid being left behind, but to actively participate in shaping its development
Right.
and ensuring it's used ethically and responsibly.
I like that.
He even suggests that investing in crypto could be one way to be a part of this technological revolution,
Interesting.
since blockchain technology is likely to play a crucial role in the future of AI.
It's interesting to think about the interconnectedness of all these different trends.
Yeah.
How something like crypto could influence the development of AI and vice versa.
Absolutely. But going back to Powell's core message of unfucking your future.
Yeah.
He offers some very practical advice for navigating this rapidly changing world.
Okay, I'm ready for some actionable steps.
He encourages us to focus on developing skills that are difficult to automate.
Okay.
Things like creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and complex problem solving.
Right.
Basically, the things that make us uniquely human.
Those are all skills that will be valuable no matter how much the world changes.
Exactly. He also stresses the importance of building strong networks and communities,
Yeah.
both online and offline.
Yeah.
Those connections, those relationships will be essential for navigating the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
And of course, he advocates for investing in trends that are aligned with these larger societal shifts,
Right.
the ones we've been discussing. Right. Like the rise of digital communities, the yearning for authentic experiences,
Yeah.
and the increasing focus on health and well-being.
It's a lot to absorb, but it's also incredibly empowering.
It is.
It reminds us that we're not just passive bystanders in this technological revolution.
Right.
We have choices, we have agency, we have the power to shape our own destinies.
And sometimes the best way to do that is to embrace the unknown,
Yeah.
to dive headfirst into the deep end and see where the current takes us.
Well said. So, what does all this mean for you, dear listener? We've explored Bitcoin price predictions, the potential of trends, the disruptive power of AI,
Yeah.
and the idea of unfucking your future.
Which of these ideas resonates most with you? How might these different perspectives shape your own thinking about the future?
It's certainly a lot to ponder.
It is. But as always, we encourage you to continue exploring,
Yes.
continue questioning,
Uh-huh.
and continue diving deeper into this vast sea of knowledge that surrounds us.
Until next time, happy deep diving.
Yeah.
Well, his answer might surprise you. He doesn't advocate for resisting this change.
No.
He actually encourages us to embrace it.
Interesting.
He sees AI as a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Right.
It all depends on who's wielding it.
I like that perspective. It's not about fearing the technology itself,
Yeah.
but rather understanding its potential and limitations
Uh-huh.
so we can use it to our advantage.
Exactly. And he encourages us to become knowledgeable about AI, not just to avoid being left behind,
Okay.
but to actively participate in shaping its development and ensuring it's used ethically and responsibly.
I like that.
He even suggests that investing in crypto could be one way to be a part of this technological revolution,
Okay.
since blockchain technology is likely to play a crucial role in the future of AI.
It's interesting to think about the interconnectedness of all these different trends.
Yeah,
How something like crypto could influence the development of AI and vice versa.
absolutely. But going back to Powell's core message of unfucking your future.
He offers some very practical advice for navigating this rapidly changing world.
Okay, I'm ready for some actionable steps.
He encourages us to focus on developing skills that are difficult to automate.
All right.
Things like creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence,
Hmm.
and complex problem solving. Basically, the things that make us uniquely human.
Those are all skills that will be valuable no matter how much the world changes.
Exactly. He also stresses the importance of building strong networks and communities, both online and offline.
Yeah.
Those connections, those relationships will be essential for navigating the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
And of course, he advocates for investing in trends that are aligned with these larger societal shifts,
Right.
the ones that we've been discussing, like the rise of digital communities, the yearning for authentic experiences,
Yeah.
and the increasing focus on health and well-being.
It's a lot to absorb, but it's also incredibly empowering.
It is.
It reminds us that we're not just passive bystanders in this technological revolution.
We have choices. We have agency. We have the power to shape our own destinies.
And sometimes the best way to do that is to embrace the unknown, to dive headfirst into the deep end and see where the current takes us.
Well said.
So what does all of this mean for you, dear listener? We've explored Bitcoin price predictions, the potential of trends, the disruptive power of AI,
Yeah.
and the idea of unfucking your future. Which of these ideas resonates most with you? How might these different perspectives shape your own thinking about the future?
It's certainly a lot to ponder.
It is. But as always, we encourage you to continue exploring, continue questioning, and continue diving deeper into this vast sea of knowledge that surrounds us.
Until next time, happy deep diving.